Have you ever tried to tickle yourself? Probably yes. And you probably noticed something strange. It simply doesn't work. You can touch your own skin. You can move your fingers. You can try to repeat exactly the same movement that someone else makes, but the sensation is never the same, no matter how much you try. Your body simply doesn't react. And this reveals something extremely fascinating about the human brain. The inability to tickle yourself is not a flaw in the system. It is an advanced function of your brain. To understand this, we first need to understand what tickling actually is. There are two main types. The first type is light, superficial, almost like a shiver on the skin. It is that soft touch that can cause a slight discomfort. The second type is the one that actually triggers laughter, muscle contractions, an involuntary reaction. This type usually happens in specific areas: armpits, ribs, neck, feet. But the most important point is not the location, it is unpredictability. Tickling works when the brain does not know exactly what is about to happen. When another person touches you, there is an element of surprise. Even if you know they are about to try to tickle you, you do not know exactly when, or exactly where, or with what intensity. And the brain depends on that, because the brain is a prediction machine. At every moment, it tries to anticipate what will happen next. It predicts movements, it predicts sounds, it predicts consequences, and it does this to save energy. When you decide to move your own hand, the brain sends two signals at the same time. The first one goes to the muscles, ordering the movement. The second one goes to a region called the cerebellum. This second signal is an internal copy of the planned movement. It is as if the brain were saying, "I am about to do this." This copy allows the brain to predict the sensation that the touch will create. And when the sensation actually happens, the brain compares prediction with reality. If they match, the sensory response is reduced. This is called sensory cancellation. It is the same reason why you do not constantly feel your clothes touching your body. The brain predicts that continuous contact and simply ignores it. But when another person tickles you, there is no precise prediction. The touch is external, unpredictable, not controlled by you. And when the brain cannot accurately predict the stimulus, it activates a stronger response. The sensation increases. The laughter appears. Now, here comes an even more interesting detail. Tickling is not only a physical sensation, it also involves brain areas related to emotion and threat. Studies show that during tickling, regions such as the hypothalamus and defense-related areas become active. This suggests that tickling is connected to primitive protection mechanisms. From an evolutionary perspective, sensitive areas of the body need protection. Armpits, neck, abdomen. These are vulnerable regions. An unexpected touch in these areas activates the alert system. Laughter in this case may be a social response, but also a release of tension. Now think about this. If you could tickle yourself, your alert system would constantly be activated by predictable stimuli. That would be inefficient. The brain avoids this by blocking the response. The cerebellum plays a central role in this process. It calculates the difference between intention and real sensation. When you move your own hand, the prediction is extremely precise. The brain knows exactly the timing, the intensity, and the direction. The result? No surprise, no sensory amplification, no real tickling. But researchers performed interesting experiments. When people try to tickle themselves using a machine that introduces a delay in the touch, the sensation increases. Because the delay breaks the prediction. The brain expects an immediate touch, but it happens milliseconds later. This small difference is enough to create surprise, and the tickling sensation appears. This shows that the secret is not the skin. It is timing. The brain depends on precise synchronization to cancel sensations. When this synchronization fails, the stimulus becomes intense again. There is also an important social aspect. Tickling almost always happens between two people. It is interaction, play, connection. The laughter triggered by tickling is often involuntary, but it strengthens social bonding. The brain associates this kind of interaction with closeness and trust. But this only works because the stimulus is external. If it were internal, it would lose its social meaning. Now think about something even deeper. The same mechanism that prevents you from tickling yourself is the mechanism that allows you to distinguish between your own actions and external actions. It helps the brain understand, I did this. This came from outside. This distinction is fundamental for the perception of identity. In some neurological conditions, this system can fail. When motor prediction does not work properly, a person may struggle to distinguish between their own actions and external ones, or they may even experience unexpected sensations. This shows how sophisticated this mechanism really is. Let us return to the original question. Why can't you tickle yourself? Because your brain already knows exactly what you are about to do. And when it knows, it reduces the sensation. It is not a lack of sensitivity. It is an excess of precision. The human brain prefers predictability. Surprise creates sensory amplification. Prediction creates reduction. This happens all the time. When you hear your own voice, it sounds different than when you hear it in a recording, because the brain combines internal vibration with external sound. When you walk, you do not experience every step as something threatening, because the brain predicts every movement. But when someone bumps into you, the sensation is intense. Unpredictability is the trigger. Tickling is a simple example of something much bigger. It shows how the brain filters the world. It decides what deserves attention and what can be ignored. If it did not do this, you would be overwhelmed. You would feel every touch, every piece of clothing, every breath, every movement as something intense. It would be unbearable. So the brain learns patterns, and patterns reduce intensity. But when something breaks the pattern, the brain amplifies it. This is the foundation of human sensory experience. Surprise is amplified. Predictability is reduced. And that is why, no matter how much you try, you will never be able to tickle yourself the same way another person can. Because you are predictable to your own brain, and the brain does not react to what it already knows. It reacts to the unexpected. Maybe that is the most fascinating part. The brain does not live only from stimuli. It lives from the difference between expectation and reality. And when that difference disappears, the sensation weakens. This does not apply only to tickling. It applies to pleasure, to motivation, to emotion. The more predictable something becomes, the less intense it feels. And the more unexpected something is, the stronger the response becomes. Maybe that is why novelty is so powerful. And maybe that is why the brain is constantly seeking a balance between surprise and safety. You cannot tickle yourself because the brain already knows it is you. And when there is no uncertainty, there is no amplification. In the end, it is not about the skin. It is about prediction. And that reveals something incredible. Your brain is always one step ahead of you. If you want to keep exploring the invisible mechanisms that shape your experience, subscribe to the Human Function channel. Here, we reveal what is happening inside you even before you realize it, because understanding the brain means understanding human function itself.